that pull. You felt the one that whispered, "This is fate," drawing you into a love that burned bright, but left you hollow. What if it wasn't your soulmate at all, but a shadow bond echoing the wounds you thought you'd outrun? You chased that intensity, convinced it's destiny, only to wake up trapped in the same old ache, wondering why happiness slips away like sand. And if you ignore this whisper, the cycle deepens, turning love into a silent prison. But let's lean in closer together. Pause for a breath here. What if recognizing this could set you free? It's that quiet invitation pulling you from the edge of repetition into the heart of something real. Feel it now, that subtle shift, like the first crack in a shell you've worn too long. You know that moment you meet someone and it's like a spark ignites a familiarity that wraps around your heart like an old song you can't place. I've known you forever. You think your pulse quickening, as if the universe conspired to bring you here. But beneath that rush, there's a quiet unease, a flicker of something unresolved, pulling you in deeper. It's not just attraction. It's like staring into a mirror that shows parts of you long buried, begging to be seen. This isn't random. It's your inner world, reaching out through them. And sometimes that familiarity isn't warm. It's a chill, a reminder of nights spent alone as a child waiting for approval that never came, or the sting of a betrayal that taught you to guard your heart. You brush it off, calling it butterflies, but deep down, you sense the echo. Why does this person feel so essential, yet so destabilizing? It's the trigger, the subtle call from within, stirring what you've kept hidden to survive in a world that demands you show up, polished, unflinching. Perhaps it's the way their laugh echoes a parent's rare joy, or their silence mirrors the voids you've filled with busyness. Think of it as a door creaking open in the quiet of your soul, revealing rooms you locked away years ago. That pull. It's not always gentle. Sometimes it's a sharp tug yanking you back to unfinished conversations with your younger self, the one who learned to shrink to be loved. In those moments, your body remembers the tightness in your throat, the flutter in your chest, as if saying, "Pay attention. This is where the story restarts." Take a moment now, journal what that pull feels like in your body. Does it comfort or unsettle? Allow yourself to sit with it without rushing to label. Maybe sketch the sensation, a tight knot, a warm glow to make it tangible, or whisper to yourself, what old memory is stirring here? Let the question hang, inviting clarity without demand. And as we explore this, you'll see how it splits you open, revealing layers you didn't know were there. What if this trigger is your soul's gentle nudge toward healing? Lean into that possibility with me. You tell yourself it's love, that electric connection must mean something profound, a sign from the stars aligning just for you two. But deep down, there's a rift. One part of you craves the stability of a shared future, while another hungers for the chaos that feels so alive, so necessary. It's like wearing a mask all day, polished and perfect for the world, only to come home and face the raw, unfiltered truths you've shoved aside. This tension isn't new. It's the dance between who you pretend to be and who you've hidden away to survive. Imagine a river split by a hidden dam. The surface flows smoothly, but underground, the pressure builds, threatening to burst. That's you caught between the persona you've crafted, the face you show in relationships, at work, in the mirror each morning, and the deeper currents of unmet needs, old hurts that whisper, not good enough or too much. Carl Jung called this hidden side the shadow, that collection of feelings, desires, and memories we deny because they don't fit our story. In love, we project it outward, seeing in another what we can't face in ourselves. So when that soulmate appears stirring up jealousy, anger, or desperate need, it's not them, it's your Carl Jung shadow surfacing, demanding attention. You feel it in those quiet arguments that escalate too fast, or the way you cling tighter when doubt creeps in. Why does this feel so familiar? You ask yourself late at night, staring at the ceiling. It's because the bond isn't bridging two holes. It's gluing fractures together, recreating the splits from childhood. Maybe a distant parent teaching you love means proving your worth, or a betrayal that made trust feel like a gamble. Your ego pushes for romance, the fairy tale ending, but your soul hungers for truth, for the parts of you abandoned in the name of fitting in. Here's where it gets intimate. You might call it passion, that fire that consumes everything, but often it's suppression boiling over emotions you've buried to perform in a world that rewards the unflappable, the achiever. Carl Jung's shadow isn't evil. It's just the unseen self, the wildness, the vulnerability you learned to lock away. In relationships, it projects onto partners, turning them into screens for your unresolved stories. Think of it as a dream where you're chasing a figure who always slips away. That's the inner split persona chasing shadow, never quite catching up. Every 90 seconds or so, let this sink in. You chase wholeness outside because inside feels fractured. Pause, feel that tug in your chest. It's the mirror truth staring back, saying you've been living half a life suppressing the soul hunger that cries out for more than surface connections. But wait, there's a metaphor here, like two vines entwined, one thriving in light, the other rooted in dark soil. They grow together, but without balance, one strangles the other. That's the performance self versus the authentic one, the emotional armor you've built against a world that burns out the sensitive souls among us. You're not alone in this. So many of us in our 30s feel the weight of it, the job that demands perfection, the social feeds screaming success, leaving us starving for something real. We suppress the rage, the grief, the wild joy, all in the name of adulting. But it leaks out in love, drawing us to partners who poke at those very wounds. It's that quiet resentment building the way you give endlessly, yet feel empty, wondering if anyone sees the real you beneath the roles. I've felt it too, that split where you smile through the day, but crumble at night, wondering if love is supposed to hurt this much. It's the contradiction, wanting connection, yet fearing the vulnerability it requires. Unresolved tension builds like a storm cloud gathering until it rains down in ways we regret. You call it empathy, but maybe it's the way you disappear, giving pieces of yourself away until there's nothing left. Picture a cracked vase held together by gold threads, kintsugi they call it in Japan. The splits aren't flaws. They're where the light gets in, but only if you acknowledge them. In Carl Jung's shadow work, this is the start of individuation, that quiet journey where you weave the fragments back into a stronger whole. But it begins with feeling the split, not numbing it, allowing the discomfort to teach rather than torment. Now imagine reframing this. What if embracing that Carl Jung shadow isn't about fixing the split, but dancing with it? Integration starts small, like noticing when attraction feels more like a compulsion than a choice. But to truly see it, we must dive deeper into the reveal, peeling back another layer of this spiral. Let's pause and reflect. What part of you do you hide in love? Write it down gently and notice how it feels to name it. This is your invitation to begin the healing one breath at a time. Perhaps add a question. How has suppressing this part served you? And what might letting it breathe offer? And as this awareness stirs, it leads us to the heart of the matter, where the true nature of these bonds unveils itself. You've been here before, that gnawing sense that this love so intense and all-consuming is unraveling you rather than building you up. It's the moment you realize what you called a soulmate might actually be a shadow bond, a magnetic tie not to destiny, but to the unhealed echoes of your past. You feel seen in them, but it's a distorted mirror reflecting back the wounds you haven't faced. Let me paint this through Lena's story. She's like that friend. You have the one who's always giving, always understanding, but quietly fading. Growing up, Lena's mother was warm one day, distant the next, teaching her that love meant anticipating needs, swallowing her own. Fast forward to her 30s, she meets Alex, charismatic and unpredictable, and it's instant, he's my person. She thinks that familiarity hitting like a wave. But soon the patterns emerge. His moods pull her in, her empathy becomes a crutch, and what felt like fate turns into a cycle of highs and crashes. She chases the repair, convinced if she loves harder, it'll fix everything. Sound familiar? Lena's story deepens when she notices the exhaustion not just from the fights, but from reliving that childhood invisibility where her needs were always secondary. Nights alone, she'd journal fragments of doubt, but push them aside, fearing the void if she let go. Here's the piercing insight. This isn't true connection. It's projection. Carl Jung's shadow. The repressed parts of us seeks out partners who embody what we've denied. For Lena, Alex mirrored her abandoned assertiveness, her buried anger at being overlooked. We don't fall for them. We fall for the chance to relive and win the old battle. But it traps us, mistaking drama for depth, control for closeness. Every time you stay, you teach them you're fine being unseen, reinforcing the wound instead of healing it. Pause, that emotional beat. You call it chemistry, but maybe it's the way your wounds recognize each other, dancing in a familiar pain. Jung said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. But in shadow bonds, the transformation is stalled. It's repetition, not growth. We project our anima or animus, those inner opposites, onto them, seeing salvation where there's only a lesson waiting." For women, the animus might appear as the perfect man who actually embodies suppressed strength. For men, the anima as the emotional depth they've disowned. It's why the bond feels so vital. It's your unlived life calling through them. Now, the mid-video disruption around 7 minutes in. What if the love that hurts most isn't love at all, but your soul's cry to heal? Haunting, isn't it? If every passionate pull was fate, why does it leave you more broken? This twist challenges everything. Perhaps the chaos you crave is just avoidance of the quiet work within, a distraction from facing the emptiness alone. These bonds thrive on unfinished business, like a dream recurring until you wake up to its message. For many of us burned out in our careers, scrolling through lives that look perfect, we grasp at these connections to feel alive. But the reveal is liberating. It's not fate directing you. It's the unconscious, as Jung put it, until you make it conscious. Symbolic imagery. Imagine a locked chest in your attic filled with forgotten letters from your younger self. Opening it floods the room with light. But first, you must face the dust and shadows, the cobwebs of neglected emotions. There were nights I lay awake replaying arguments thinking, this must be real because it hurts so much. Pain isn't proof of love, it's often a signpost to integration. And here's the unexpected reveal. Sometimes the bond feels faded because it is a fate of lessons not forever designed to push you toward wholeness. Take Elias, a driven professional in his early 40s, whose father left early, leaving a void of abandonment. He falls for partners who are emotionally unavailable, each time swearing it's different deeper. But in therapy, he sees the pattern, his Carl Jung shadow, projecting the need for stability onto them, only to recreate the leaving. The wound fear of being unlovable, the insight by owning it. He stops the cycle, but not without tears, not without mourning the illusions. Journal this. What old wound does my current attraction echo? Allow the answer to surface without judgment. Reframe it as a gift. The bond highlights what needs light. Speak aloud to your shadow. I see you and I'm ready to listen. But this reveal isn't just pain. It's the doorway to turning. Once seen, the bond loses its grip, inviting true reintegration, where you step from recognition into action. As we move forward, feel that shift from torn to aware, carrying this new lens with you. That ache you've carried, the one that whispers, "This is all there is." It cracks open now, revealing not defeat, but the first glimmer of self-acceptance. You've faced the split, the projection. Now comes the pivot, where pain transforms into a portal, guiding you toward wholeness without force. Picture Marcus in his late 20s, the quiet achiever who's always played it safe. His father was demanding praise rare, so Marcus learned love meant earning it through perfection. Enter Sophia, vibrant, elusive, pulling him into a whirlwind romance that felt destined. She's the one, he'd say, ignoring the red flags, the way her distance mirrored his dad's coldness. The bond intensified, but so did the exhaustion, until one explosive fight shattered the illusion. Alone, he sought therapy, stumbling into Carl Jung's shadow integration. There, he confronted his hidden neediness, the fear of unworthiness he'd projected onto her. But the story turns deeper. Marcus didn't just leave. He stayed with the discomfort, journaling daily, meditating on the anger he'd suppressed, slowly befriending the parts of himself that felt too needy. Weeks turned to months, with setbacks like reaching out to Sophia in weak moments, but each time he chose curiosity over compulsion. He asked, "Do I love Sophia, or the chance to prove I'm enough?" That question, raw, unflinching, marked the shift. No longer chasing repair, he began reclaiming those denied parts, journaling the anger, the vulnerability. It's not instant. Realism here, shadow work stings like pulling stitches from an old wound. But hope emerges as he integrated relationships, shifted from compulsive to conscious. He met someone new, not from desperation, but from a place of quiet strength, and it felt different, steady, not stormy. Every couple minutes, an intense line. You don't break the bond by leaving. You break it by staying with yourself, holding space for the hurt until it softens. Like a tree shedding dead branches in winter, making space for spring growth. The pain, once understood, fertilizes the soil of your soul, turning barren ground into fertile earth where new roots can take hold. I remember the moment I chose me over the familiar hurt. It felt terrifying, yet freeing, like breathing after holding your breath too long. In Marcus's journey, the twist, he realized Sophia wasn't the villain. She was a catalyst, pushing him toward self-love. An intense confession. I thought I was losing everything, but I was finding myself, he shared in a quiet voice, tears marking the release. The contradiction of wanting love yet fearing it dissolves when you befriend your Carl Jung shadow, turning enemies into allies within. Reframe the wound. It's not a curse, but a teacher. Notice projections in daily interactions, whisper affirmations like, "I am whole as I am." Practice the transcendent function, that inner dialogue where opposites meet, persona and shadow conversing until harmony emerges. For practical steps, try active imagination. Close your eyes, visualize your shadow as a figure, and ask what it needs from you. For those in burnout, this turning point often comes disguised as crisis. A breakup, a breakdown, but it's the invitation to rebuild authentically. It takes time, slips happen, but each step forward anchors you deeper, building resilience like muscle memory for the soul. What small step towards self-acceptance can you take today? Maybe a walk alone, listening to your inner voice, or forgiving a past version of yourself. This turning isn't the end. It's the bridge back to your inner home where peace awaits. Now, gently, we circle back inward, not to fix what's broken, but to remember the wholeness that's always been there, waiting like a quiet room after a storm. You've unraveled the confusion shadow bonds masquerading as soulmates, and in that space, true connection emerges rooted in peace rather than past echoes. Carl Jung's shadow work isn't about banishing the dark. It's inviting it and letting it sit with you until it softens into wisdom. As you integrate the frantic search for an other half, fades you find that completeness within through individuation, that slow unfolding of your fullest self. It's like rediscovering a forgotten melody in your heart, one that plays softly when the noise quiets. True love, then, isn't fireworks that blind you. It's a steady flame fostering growth, mutual freedom. No more repeating wounds or dependence. Instead, partners who walk beside you, mirrors of your integrated light, not your hidden pain. Imagine mornings where you wake not anxious, but aligned, your relationships enhancing your wholeness rather than completing it. Picture shared silences that feel full, conversations that nourish rather than drain, a bond where both grow freer together or deeper. Envision laughing over small imperfections, knowing they're threads in the tapestry of your shared imperfect beauty. Feel that inner peace settling like fog lifting to reveal the path home. Let it linger, breathe into the calm, notice how your body softens as you envision this return, perhaps sensing a warmth spreading from your chest outward. This is the emotional grounding, the safe harbor after the waves. Like returning to a childhood garden overgrown, you tend it gently, rediscovering blooms you thought lost, watering the soil with compassion, watching new life emerge as sunlight filters through the leaves. Pull a weed here, plant a seed there, and suddenly the space breathes again, alive with possibility. In my quietest moments, this return feels like coming home to myself, no longer a stranger, but a dear friend I've missed. There's a softness there, a forgiveness that washes over the old scars. Shadow bonds trap because they're incomplete stories. True bonds liberate by completing you first. Light a candle for your shadow, speak to it kindly. Integrate through art or movement. Try drawing your inner self, letting colors reveal what words can't. Or dance alone to music that stirs your soul, feeling the Carl Jung shadow. Move with you, no longer separate, but part of the rhythm. Ask yourself, what does love from wholeness feel like? Let the answer guide you, perhaps revealing small joys you've overlooked, like the quiet satisfaction of a day lived authentically. Or add, how can I invite more of this peace into my daily rhythm? As this settles, we awaken to something deeper, a permission to live fully. Feel the resonance building like a chord struck in harmony. In this gentle awakening, hear the whisper. True soulmates don't echo your past hurts. They companion you into a future of maturity, inner freedom. As Carl Jung reminds us, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. You've been seen here, your confusions, your longings. If this resonated, pause and reflect. Have you mistaken a shadow bond for fate? Share in the comments what stirred for you. Let's hold space for each other's journeys. Or whisper to yourself, what one insight will I carry forward today? For more on embracing your Carl Jung shadow, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Join this path of rediscovery. Real love liberates. The choice isn't fate, it's your awareness now. And tying back that initial pull. When you heal the shadow, it transforms from pain into true possibility. Extend the payoff. Imagine stepping into tomorrow lighter with love that feels like home, not a battlefield. You've earned this, breathe it in.